so I stepped out with the physician and I was asking her, I said, can you be straightforward with me? How serious is this? So this aneurysm has ruptured. I know that's serious. What are her odds? Have you seen this before with your patients? Did they make it? So she said, I have seen this before, and honestly, a lot of my patients don't make it from this. This is a brain bleed. It's already ruptured, so there's not anything we can do for her now except get her to Piedmont, Atlanta, so they can operate on her. What's up, fam? Welcome back to Big Picture Podcast, where we discuss faith, testimonies, and perspectives while focusing on the big picture. I'm your host, Susan Obi, and happy Wednesday. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to Big Picture. I hope that everyone's having a great summer. In today's episode, I'm going to continue on talking about where I left off last time. In the last episode, I shared some thoughts on prayer, recent thoughts that I've had about prayer and what prayer means to me, why I so much believe in the power of prayer, and kind of incorporated a little bit of my mom's story. So my mom spent 17 days in the ICU. So my family spent 17 days in the ICU. We were with her every day, every night. We were rotating. It was a long journey, but God is faithful. God came through. So many people were praying. My family here, my family in Nigeria, my family just all spread out through the U.S. and other countries, and friends from my church home here in Georgia and also in Ohio. So just so many people praying for my mom. And I truly believe that is really just why the miracle occurred of my mom living and just being discharged straight home from the ICU. So I mentioned that it started with a headache on a Tuesday night. So my mom was actually on spring break. She's a teacher, so the whole week she was off for spring break. So this was Tuesday of her spring break. So I was actually in town visiting, and this was 2 weeks before Easter. So this was 2 weeks before Easter. So I normally spend Easter with my family here in Georgia with my parents and my siblings. So I just decided to come home a couple weeks early because I had spring break the week before. So I was off classes. So I was just like, okay, I'll come back to Georgia and spend a few weeks before Easter and then go back to Ohio after Easter. So I was in town. My younger sister has been living at home with my parents because she is taking her gap year. She's just finished up her gap year after she finished her bachelor's. She's now moving to Nashville to start grad school at Vanderbilt. So she's moving next week. And then my younger brother has been at home since after he's finished his grad assistant position, and he is starting the fire academy in July. So he's been living at home. So kind of saying all this to say that we all just happen to be home and kind of living. I was not living at home, but I was just in town visiting, which I started doing a little bit more often, more frequently since the beginning of January. So this kind of goes back to my conversation that I talked about, an honest conversation about loneliness and community. So I've been visiting my family more. So Tuesday night, it was me, my younger brother, and my mom. We were downstairs watching TV. I went ahead and went upstairs. So everything I'm about to say from this point is based on what my brother was telling me. So he was alone with my mom on Tuesday night. So he was in the kitchen doing dishes, and my mom was in the living room watching TV. So my mom was having a headache Tuesday night. So she was not feeling well. So she went to the restroom, and she just really seemed like she was in distress. And my brother was checking on her like, hey, are you okay? And my mom was like, I'm fine. I've just been having a headache today and it's just really hurting tonight. So my brother was telling her to drink water, have you eaten anything, make sure you're staying hydrated, all those kind of things. So that was Tuesday night. Wednesday morning, so I'm working at this point. So I'm working remotely at my parents' house. So Wednesday, I'm just closed off in a room. I'm teaching, I'm lecturing, and my brother, Zach, he's working with my dad on a couple things at the house. My mom is in bed in the room with the lights off. So this is up until maybe 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I came downstairs and was just asking my sister, because Sarah was getting ready to go to work. So I was asking her, has mom come downstairs yet? And we both just kind of laughed like, wow, mom's on spring break. I guess she's just, chilling upstairs on her own, which normally she would be down at that point, but she was also on break. So we just kind of thought, okay, she's chilling. So I went back upstairs, still lecturing. I actually didn't go check on her. I just was like, she's probably chilling. So she did have a headache the night before, but at this point I didn't know this. So I'm just telling the story based on what my brother's telling me. So my brother and my dad come back into the house. They went on a drive. They come back into the house, and my dad's asking Zach, my brother, hey, where's mom? Like, has she come down? And then Zach starts thinking, well, I actually have not seen her today, and she did have a headache last night. Let me go check on her. So this was Wednesday afternoon. Zach goes to check on my mom, and she is not doing well. She's disoriented. She seems a little bit off. Her speech was not all the way there. She could barely stand up and walk. She was just not feeling well. So my brother takes her to urgent care. So Wednesday is my short day, so I was kind of done in the 4:30. I come out and was asking my sister, where's everyone? And Sarah says, well, mom was not feeling well, so Zach took her to urgent care because she was having a headache. So in my mind, I'm like, urgent care for a headache? Like, what? So I call Zach and I'm asking him, what's going on? Why'd you take mom to urgent care for a headache? So he's telling me all these things, that she was disoriented. She just wasn't feeling good. And I think she needs to be here. So I brought her here. So I was asking her, like, what else? What's going on? And Zach was like, she seemed disoriented. So I was asking, well, who's the provider at the urgent care? Like, who is it? A PA, NP, MD? And my brother's like, well, the CNA came in, so I think they're the one treating her. So I was like, okay, it's not a CNA. So who's the provider? And he said the CNA just took her blood pressure. So right now we're waiting. It's actually a PA. So he went and found out that's a PA that's going to be her provider. And the CNA took her blood pressure. And so Zach's texting me like, yeah, her blood pressure, he told me over the phone, yeah, her blood pressure was pretty high. So I was like, let me know when the PA comes in and I'll just call back so I can talk to the PA. So we hang up. He texts me. I just looked through my text to check, but he texts me and he says that her blood pressure was 210 over 136. So at this point, I pick up the phone. I'm like, I want to talk to the PA. What's going on? 210 over 136 is dangerous. For those of you who may not be familiar, but most people I tell this story, they're like, oh my gosh, what? So I call my brother and I tell him that I need to talk to the PA. So the PA is telling me that, yes, this was the blood pressure. I asked her, I wanted to confirm. She said, yes, it was 210 over 136. We called EMS. Her heart is in distress. So I'm asking her, what do you mean her heart is in distress? How do you know that? I need to know what happened, kind of thing. So she's like, I'm not sure how familiar you are with an EKG. I'm like, yes, tell me. So my mom had an abnormal EKG. She had ST depression. So the PA was saying that her heart was not doing well. Her blood pressure was elevated and they needed to call an ambulance. So I was asking, is it really that serious? Can y'all treat her there? Can y'all give her meds there? And they said, no, this is not good. So I was like, okay, it's fine. So the EMS comes to urgent care and they're asking Zach, where should we take her? So Zach just said closest hospital, just take her to the closest hospital. So they took her to the closest hospital. Zach comes home and picks up me and my sister so we can meet them at the hospital. So once EMS left urgent care with my mom, Zach comes home to pick up me and my sister, and then we all go to the hospital. At this point, my dad is updated. So I told him, hey, mom, yes, mom was not doing well. So they called EMS. This was her blood pressure. My dad's a pharmacist. So my dad's like, okay, in the hospital, they're probably going to give her this and this and do this and keep an eye on her. Let me know what they end up giving her. So me and my siblings go to the hospital, and my mom was in triage. So they had just ordered a chest x-ray for her. So after she comes out of triage, we're waiting. Pretty much they're trying to see how serious is this? Does she need to get admitted kind of thing. So they ordered a chest x-ray and they ordered a head CT. So we maybe waited not too long, 30 minutes to an hour. It was really, really busy. They take her back for the chest x-ray. They take her back for the head CT, but they say that only one person can go back. So I go back with my mom for the head CT. We come back out, and then they bring her back into the room, and they're putting all these IVs and giving her meds to control her blood pressure. And then the physician comes in and is saying that the CT results came back. But at this point, my mom is just not doing okay. When we got to the hospital and I laid eyes on her, she didn't even know where she was or what was going on. She was like, how did I get here? Who brought me to the hospital? So we're telling her, you went to urgent care and your blood pressure was really elevated, so they brought you to the hospital. And she was just like, who took me to urgent care? Why'd y'all take me to urgent care? She just was not understanding what was going on. Even in the room, she just wasn't doing well. And she also started feeling bad and saying, hey, y'all have to work. Just go home. I'm going to be okay. So we're like, we're not going anywhere, obviously. So the physician comes back in the room and says that my mom's CT scan came back of her head and she had an aneurysm. So my immediate first question was, well, what happens if it ruptures? And then the physician says, it already has. So at this point, I'm just like, this is dangerous. What are we doing? And the physician's like, we're moving as fast as we can. I'm going to need to talk to the neuro team. So I'm going to need to step out. But right now we just need to control her blood pressure. And I need to consult with the neuro team. She goes to consult with the neuro team. She comes back and says, we need to fly her out to Piedmont, Atlanta. So I'm asking her why. Neuro team's here. We can, treat her here. So she said that they did not have the capacity to treat my mom at that hospital. They need to fly her out to Piedmont, Atlanta, and she needs one more CT scan to assess the severity of what's going on before she's actually flown out. At this point, it's just me back there with my mom. So my younger brother and sister in the waiting room have no idea what's going on. And I wanted to fill them in eventually, but I wanted to get all the answers first. So I turn over and look, and they're started heading towards the door into the room that my mom was in. So I'm like, okay. So I stepped out with the physician, and I was asking her, I said, can you be straightforward with me? How serious is this? So this aneurysm has ruptured. I know that's serious. What are her odds? Have you seen this before with your patients? Did they make it? So she said, I have seen this before, and honestly, a lot of my patients don't make it from this. This is a brain bleed. It's already ruptured, so there's not anything we can do for her now except get her to Piedmont, Atlanta, so they can operate on her. So I remember asking her, talk a little bit more. And she says that the aneurysm ruptured and it's a subarachnoid hemorrhage. So she's bleeding out in her brain in the circle of Willis. She was asking me, I don't know if you're familiar. I'm like, yes, I know, I understand. Just because we literally had just talked about this because I lecture nursing students. So in my mind, I'm like, these are all the things that I talk and lecture about about how serious this is. And this is something that's happening to my mom right now. This is what I'm thinking in my head. So I asked her, I remember after she explained everything, I said, so does my mom need brain surgery? And she said, yes, she does. And I said, there's no way we can do anything here for her now, because I told her, I was like, I'm a little confused. If this is really serious, are we moving as fast as we can? Because we're talking about getting another head CT and then flying her out. And the helicopter's not even here yet. So, and she's like, we're moving as fast as we can, but we do need to get that head CT. So we get the head CT. I'll just share this part. There was a lot of little things that happened that is just, I think I learned a lot about being in the hospital or having family in the hospital and being in the ICU. So the nurse has taken my mom to get the head CT and she's rushing. So we're like, walking behind her, me, my sister, and my brother. And before this happened, right after the physician told me that, she needs a head CT and she's going to have brain surgery, I did call my dad. I did call him and I told him that they're not just managing her blood pressure. It's actually a little bit more serious, that she had an aneurysm that ruptured and they're flying her out to Piedmont, Atlanta as soon as possible. And my dad was silent. And he said, are you sure they're flying her out? Are they not? Is it an EMS? I think he didn't want the situation to be as serious as it was, because you hear fly out and it's like, fly her out. This is really, really urgent. So I said, no, they are definitely flying her out. And they said they need to fly her out. So he's like, text me. I'm on my way. Tell me exactly where y'all are. I'm coming. So that happened. Then we were following the nurse to get my mom's head CT, and another nurse and her patient swoop into the room right before this nurse and my mom, and they get the room for the head CT. So we're just standing there, and I'm like, is it okay that we're standing here? Because my mom needs the head CT. So she was like, it's not going to take that long. It should be fine. And I think I remember telling someone that throughout this whole situation, this was one of the times where I really was not comfortable and really felt like this is really bad, when we were standing out there waiting for my mom's head CT. Because in my mind, I'm like, she's bleeding out right now. Her aneurysm has ruptured, and we're standing in the hallway waiting for a head CT because someone cut in front of us. What if she dies? Like, I remember thinking that in my head, that it probably is not even going to be the fact that she had the aneurysm and they tried to treat it, but they couldn't. I was feeling like, what if it's more like we were standing here too long? You hear, if we had only done this a little bit earlier, a little bit sooner. So I'm not feeling okay. So thankfully the CT didn't last that long for the other patient. So my mom goes in, gets the head CT. They take her back to the room. The team from Piedmont, Atlanta is there, and they're like really on it, like trying to get her hooked up, trying to get her ready. And I was asking them like, hey, how long is the ride? And I'm going to be able to ride with y'all, right? They said, no family, no one, that y'all are going to have to drive. So they told us it was 12 minutes by helicopter, and then for us, it was going to be a 45-minute drive from where we were. So we waited and we waited for them to get my mom into the helicopter. We waited until they took off. And then at this point, my dad's texting me like, hey, I just got here. So we book it back to the front of the hospital, and my dad is sitting outside in the front on the bench. And I just felt so bad. And he was just like, what happened? So we told him the whole thing. And I was just like, okay, let's get to the hospital. It's 45 minutes for us. So mom is going to be at the hospital long before us. So I drove my sister's car, and then my dad and Zach rode together. And so we got my sister's car, and my dad comes up and knocks on the window, and he's like, just remember, you guys are not the one treating her. Don't speed. Calm down. It's going to be okay. we have to be safe too and make it there in one piece. So whether we're there or not, she's in good hands and she's going to get treated. So we're like, okay, yeah, that's a good reminder. So we drove and we were just, I mean, my sister and I were pretty quiet. Um, and in my mind, I was just thinking, gotta be strong, gotta be strong. God is in control. God is here. God is aware. God knows what's going on. God knows what's going on. So just reminding myself that God is there already. Like, we're going to the hospital, but God's already there. You know, God is present and he's faithful and we trust him. I trust him. I trust you. And just asked my sister how she's doing, and she's like, I'm scared, and just crying. And so we got to the hospital. We made it there before my dad and Zach. We got there. We went to the ER first because this hospital is huge. So we're just like, we don't know where to go. We go to the ER. We tell them we're looking for the ICU. My mom's in neuro ICU. So they directed us. They opened the door and said, go down this way, down the hall. We got to the desk to check in and said, we're here to see family. My mom has been admitted to the ICU. And at this point, it was past midnight. So this was technically Thursday. And they said no visitors past 8 o'clock, that my mom would need to call and let them know that we want to visit and see her. Like, they would need to get approval from my mom. I mean, my sister were like, you're not going to get that. She doesn't even know what's going on. So they let us in. They ended up letting us in. And then I'm like, my dad and my brother are on the way too. So we finally get into the hospital and we got to the floor. My mom is the very first room on the right. So we saw her immediately. We found her. We went in and we just kind of waited, just hugging her, just letting her know we're here, we're with you. The nurse practitioner comes in and she gives us a thorough just run through of everything that's going to happen and what's going on with my mom right now, her current condition. She was stable. They were controlling her blood pressure. So as soon as she got there, they hooked her up to IVs. And the nurse practitioner was telling us that the neuro team wouldn't be there till 7 in the morning. But she's stable right now and she would be good through the night, but she is actively bleeding. But they just need to keep an eye on her through the night and wait for the neuro team to get there in the morning. So in my mind, I'm kind of like, okay, I'm glad that she was able to just stay through the night. So it wasn't like they were rushing and trying to do emergency surgery. It was an emergency, but it wasn't like it needed to be done right then and there. But they did need to watch her. So she kind of explained the whole procedure to us. She had an aneurysm coil and an EVD. So she was kind of explaining pretty much we're trying to block the part of the blood vessel that ruptured. And then the EVD was essentially to place a tube in the part of her brain that was bleeding so they could drain it out. So it was brain surgery. She quite literally had brain surgery. So at this point, after she explains everything, we get all our questions out. It was probably 1 in the morning. So I just said to my family, I think we should go home and come back because we've been out since this was maybe around 5 o'clock on Wednesday that my mom was in urgent care and then went to the hospital. So at this point, we've been out for almost 12 hours just with my mom. It was just not expected. She just had a headache. And then now we're in neuro ICU and in the hospital. So I just told my family, let's just go home. And my dad was like, yeah, my dad was pretty tired and we hadn't eaten anything. So we went home. My sister and I stopped and picked up some food. Taco Bell was the only thing open. We picked up Taco Bell. We got back to the house and then Zach came down. So they got back before us and we just ate. And we were like, okay, neuro team's going to be there at 7. My dad said we need to get there before them. So we ate. We went to bed. I just remember that night, it was just like, is this actually happening? It was really, I had my ringer on, my phone on, just in case anything happened, because I was one of the emergency contacts. And then my dad too, of course, and my brother. We had pretty much all of us were on there. So hardly could sleep. My dad was up at 4 a.m. I don't even know if he slept. He was up at 4 a.m. They left the house maybe at 4:30. So Zach was just going with my dad. So they both left the house. Sarah and I left around 5. We got to the hospital. We beat the neuro team there. They came in. It was 2 neurosurgeons and then a neuro PA. They come in to the room. We're all in there, and they started explaining the procedure. But first, they explained her condition and said that what was going on with my mom was very serious. And they said she's actively bleeding out in her brain right now. We have seen this a ton of times. So they told us that 1/3 of patients will make it. 1/3 of patients, however, will have a stroke, and 1/3 of patients will not make it through. So that was just a reality check. And my mind wasn't going there to what if she doesn't make it. In my mind, I'm thinking that I appreciate you telling us that, but God has the final say. God is in control. And that gave me comfort of just be in the present. God is the one in control. So they told us we need to get her ready for surgery. The surgery could take a couple hours, a few hours, but we just don't know. So we were asking, are we going to get updates, throughout the surgery? And they said, no, you won't know anything till we come out. So they took her to surgery. They took her to get a CT before surgery. So this was probably late morning, and or close to being afternoon time when this happened. So I did work that day, but only for half the day. I texted and told my supervisor, this is what's going on. That was my first week of class, actually, and my first week being back. So I just finished the end of the quarter, and then that was my first quarter being back. So I told my supervisor, hey, my mom is not doing well. She's in the hospital. I can only do half a day kind of thing. And it was completely fine. So they took her back, and we waited around 5 hours for her to get her CT scan, do the surgery. Very, very long 5 hours. We just hung around the hospital. We got some food. We would come in the room. We would just hanging around the hospital. And then once we see them walking down the hall, we come back in the room and just holding our breath. And they said this was the head neurosurgeon, just in charge of the whole floor, pretty much, chief neurosurgeon. And he said, she's okay. She made it through, and she's stable, and we're bringing her out. So that was just a huge relief. They said that they had done that procedure a ton of times. It's just different outcome with each patient. So they said that she was good and made it through. So they brought her back into the room, and that's when we started our 17-day journey through the ICU. When the neurosurgeon came back and my mom was back and we just hugged her, we were so happy. My mom had goddess braids, so just big kind of cornrow braids. And before they took her back, they were saying we're gonna need to cut this braid. So after the surgery, they came back, and the neurosurgeon was like, I know this might seem like a minor detail, but we saved the braid. And that just made us laugh. We were just laughing, and he was just kind of like, hey, I don't know. You might want it back. I don't know. That was a lot of hair. So I don't know. Maybe you need it. Maybe you don't. But the braid is in a bag. And my mom kind of smiled, and we were like, thank you for the braid. So she had the tube in her head. So that was the EVD. And they were pretty much just monitoring her intracranial pressure. at this point, and just watching to make sure that it doesn't get too high. And if it did, they would have to adjust the lever. And pretty much that was what was keeping her there. What is her ICP? And it was fluctuating, but they were waiting for it to be below a certain number before they were like, okay, she's good to go. This is when the headache started for my mom, the back aches, constipation, elevated white blood cell counts. Her electrolytes were imbalanced, just all sorts of different things. An infection, they thought she had an infection at one point. And so we're texting people. I have my mom's phone. I stayed in the hospital for the first 5 days. I didn't go anywhere. I just stayed in the hospital. Even if I went out, I would come back, and my siblings were there too. So we just finally figured out that, okay, let's just have a schedule so that we don't feel so tired and so burnt out. My younger brother, Sam, I called him the night before the surgery and told him everything. And he was like, I'm going to be there this weekend. So Sam drives up that weekend. And then my older brother, Jess, he's in the Army. He was actually in Oklahoma for training. He put in emergency leave, and he was there the next week. He got there as soon as he could, maybe a week and a half. That was the soonest he could get there. So at this point, the whole family is there. And we stayed with her every day, every night. We rotated. We had shifts. We just talked it out through text. This person, you'll stay with mom tonight. I'll stay with mom today. And then I'll go back on this day. So my younger brother came in. So Sam came in from Birmingham. He bought a cooler. He bought ice, protein drinks, fruit. So really, I think something that I just appreciated, just everyone in my family just contributed in different ways. Of just, Sarah was just remembering literally everything that was being said by the neuro team of, mom needs to do this. This is what they said. This is what we're supposed to do, kind of thing. And Sam was the one coming in saying, like, she needs to drink protein drinks. She needs to get fruit. She needs to make sure that, because she wasn't moving. She was laying in bed. So we're like, he was kind of like, because he's into like working out and diet and things like that. So just bringing that aspect of, we need to make sure that her muscles aren't wasting away. And then my older brother, when he came, since he was on leave, he was just like, I can stay here all week. Like, I'm off work, because we still had to work. Like, we couldn't get off that much time. So he's like, I'm off. I can stay here as long as y'all need. And then Zach, pretty much he's the one that found my mom, and he was driving. He was there every single day. I think there was maybe 2 days out of the 17 days where I just could not make it to the hospital, just either due to work or just different things. My sister was working too. So there were some days where some of us just couldn't make it, but at least someone was there. But Zach was there literally every single day. And he drove with my dad every day, drove him to the hospital, drove him back. So everyone contributed. And that's something just that I really appreciated about my family. It did get tiresome. It did get really tiring. I think after 14 days, we were just kind of like, wait, how long is she going to be here? How long are we going to be here? I think that we really learned also the ins and outs of just being in the hospital and hospital politics, which that happens in any corporation. I think also we really learned just more about healthcare and how much the nurses are actually doing. Everyone on the healthcare team, but the nurses were with my mom all day and all night. The day nurses and then the night nurses, and just really appreciate the nurses that really just cared for my mom, that advocated for her, that stayed with her, that really checked on her and asked her how she's doing honestly, helped her with her symptoms, brought up different suggestions. I think there were some that were a lot more thorough than others, willing to go the extra mile to make sure my mom was comfortable, and we just really appreciated those nurses. So every day we're waiting, the neuro team would come in, they would give an update. She had a ton of people on her care team. We were just like, wait, what is going on? At one point, it was just not funny, but we were just kind of like, how many people are on her care team? She had a neurologist, a neurosurgeon, a neuro PA, She had infectious disease physician, nurse practitioner, of course, the nurses, a patient care tech, a dietitian came in at one point, a nutritionist. We were just like, oh my gosh, like so many people are here. And it was, and they told us at the beginning that it was going to be a marathon and not a sprint. And that is what it truly was. I think another aspect to it, I'm just trying to remember different things that stood out. Yeah, I had my mom's phone. We kind of took turns with my mom's phone too, like texting different people that wanted to check in on her, because once we told a few people at my home church, the word kind of spread. My mom wanted, she was awake. She kind of knew what was going on a little bit. So she would tell us, like, text this person, text this person. So we're texting people. People are texting and calling, wanting to visit. So just trying to manage that of just, we didn't really want visitors in the beginning because my mom was just not doing well and we didn't want her to feel like she had to like talk or entertain or anything like that. But we still had visitors come. We were just like, how did you know where we were? But we just really did appreciate that people wanted to come and see her and bring flowers and things like that. People were praying, people were checking in. So just managing my mom's phone calls and texts. And then also just coordinating with her work, with her job. So I was texting her principal. So my mom's a teacher, just trying to coordinate with her, like, what does this mean for my mom? Does she need to put in PTO? Will she be able to come back to work? I think it's just really a God thing. She's a teacher. So this was literally towards the end. This was April. So it was like pretty much towards the end of the school year to where she could have just put in PTO, and then summer, she's off in the summer anyways. So just so many things looking back that I'm like, God was there. I think even the fact of I was there to visit, I happened to be at home visiting. My younger siblings happened to be also living at home. My mom was not in school. Like, this happened at the house, just it happened at the house so we could actually take care of her and take her to the hospital and do all the things that needed to be done. So she wasn't alone when this whole thing happened. So I just see God's hand in everything. It was just such a miracle. We were tired though, just being in the hospital for so long. My church family was sending Venmo, sending Cash App, sending gift cards for DoorDash. My friend, one of my good friends, she started a meal train for our family, and then that link got texted out and people just filled up that meal train. And so we just so much appreciate the support. And I think just being in Georgia during that time, I'm like, I really appreciate the support and community that my family has here. And that my mom is in a good place, that she's well loved and well liked by a lot of people. And she just has a fun and vibrant personality, and she is just very wise and a mother to all, and people really wanted her to be okay and just checked in on her. So that was something that my family really appreciated. People bringing food and fruits and gifts and things like that. So we prayed with her. People came from my church and prayed with her. And she was laying in bed a lot. The neurosurgeon was telling her that she does need to get up after the surgery. He was like, I always tell patients that the bed is for sleeping and the chair is for during the day. So we really had to get to a point, this is probably 10 days in, where we're just like, okay, Mom, we want you to rest and be okay, but we also don't want you to be here for 2 months. If you just keep laying in bed, like, Mom, you need to get up. So we would try to encourage her to be okay with getting up. Do you want us to ask the nurse to help you get up and get in the chair? So I could tell she was really, really tired and really struggling. She was in so much pain. But we just really encouraged her to get up and sit in the chair. And I think once she was able to do that, and then after a few days, maybe about 10 days or 11 days, she was walking down the hall. Physical therapy, occupational therapy, forgot to mention them, of course. She was walking down the hall with PT, and that was just really cool to know that she was getting better. And the neuro team would come in every day. They're like, you look great. Like, this is amazing that you are recovering really, really well. So the neurosurgeon would come in and just talk to my mom for like 45 minutes just about he's in the Air Force or Navy. He's in the Navy. And then the other neurosurgeon is in the um, Army, I believe. So my mom was talking to them saying, my older son is in the Army. So they would just talk about everything. And he's traveled a lot. So he was asking, where are you from? To my mom. My mom's like, I'm from Nigeria. So she was able to have conversations. She was offering the nurses food, offering them cookies and gifts and all these things. So I think just seeing that was like, we were happy that she was doing well and doing okay. And so they loved coming in and they would just chat with her. And they're just like, we're probably going to get in trouble. He's like, I think I need to go probably see other patients now. So um, it was a tough experience. I think I just had a new appreciation for people who have family in the hospital. It is not easy. It's really not easy. I think just even being in that environment, people did die. We heard so many screams and crying, and I think we just had to be in the headspace, at least for me, of just like, I just need to step outside. Like when I'm hearing the screams and the crying, I'm like, I'm here too. I understand that it's hard and this could happen to anyone. Like we don't know how much longer we have left. So just praying in my heart, but also like, I need to step out, and it was hard to be in that environment sometimes of just knowing that this is the ICU. People are dying on this floor. Like people are in critical condition and my mom is here. So, another miracle is just that, I work remotely. My brother could work remotely, my younger brother. So we would just kind of find places to work in the hospital, or he would go home and I could just find a random floor and I'm like, I just need a table. I can work, I can lecture, I could teach. So just so many things. We saw God's hand in a lot of it. My mom got to FaceTime her prayer group at my church. They meet very early, 6 a.m. So I happened to be there and be awake, and I saw them send a video link. So I just clicked on it and joined, and they were so happy to see her, and they prayed with her and prayed for her while she was in the hospital. So many people praying, and I know that God answers prayers. The last few days that she was in the hospital, so she was there 17 days. After 2 weeks, we're starting to text people like, pray for a quick discharge from the ICU. Of course, pray against like all her symptoms. Pray that there's no infection, because they thought there was infection at one point, so they brought in infectious diseases. Pray against her back pain, for healing for that. Pray for her headaches. Pray that her electrolytes become balanced. Pray that because she's having constipation. Pray that she has a bowel movement. Like so many things we're praying for. But I started intentionally saying, pray for a quick discharge from the ICU, because this is a lot. So after that, a day or two, the neuro team started talking about her getting discharged. So we're like, okay, this is good. Because in the beginning, they were saying it could be up to 21 days. It could be longer. We're just like, please let it not be longer. So a couple days before she got discharged, they were telling her, like, you're looking good. It's looking like you're getting close to being home, but we need to take a CT scan to check and make sure that the drain has worked, that you've drained the blood out, because essentially, since the blood vessel burst and the blood was just going through her brain, that was causing the headaches. And then it would start to go down towards her spinal cord. That was causing the back pain. So they did that last CT scan. My younger sister, she was on duty this day. So she was there at the hospital with my mom when they did the last CT scan. And then she FaceTimed me afterwards. But the neuro team came in after they did the last CT scan, and they told her that her CT scan exceeded all expectations, that it was beautiful. It was more than they could have hoped for, and that she was going to get discharged in 2 days. So this was around day 15. They probably started talking about her discharge just around 2 weeks. So they told her that, and my sister FaceTimed me and told me, like, this is what they said. And I think the phrase of them saying that exceeded all expectations was just God, like, throwing in that I'm here and that I do answer prayers. I am the great physician. I am healer. And God, I love Ephesians 3:20 that says, to him who is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all we ask or think, to him be glory forever and ever. So God is able to do above what we ask or think. So I love that, because it's like the things that we ask for, or even the things that we dream and think about, like, this is what I want. Like, we were praying specific things, and God is able to do more than that. So the neuro team saying that you have exceeded all expectations lets me know that God was present, and God is still present. They talked about her getting discharged. Pretty much they were saying that she would leave the ICU, but she would go up to med surge, which is another floor, for a couple days. That was pretty much the consensus throughout the whole visit. But after the CT scan, they're like, you can go home. I mean, you're good. Like, you can go home. So that was just another miracle. She was able to go straight home. And we are in awe of God. I think that this is something that I'm just, I don't have any words. It was hard. We called my family in Nigeria. It was hard for them too, because they're like, we're not here. My mom's siblings live there. My mom's mom, my grandma, is in Texas, so it was hard for her. She's just crying when she hears the news and praying, and everyone's checking in. It got really overwhelming. It got to be a lot, but we're just so happy that she's out. And the meal train that my friend started was right after discharge. So after my mom got discharged, people were bringing meals, and my mom was, it was hard for her to really move around. So she was upstairs mostly for a few days. And my dad was literally every morning taking her blood pressure, every night taking her blood pressure, making sure that she has her medication. We got those pill counters that you put each day of the week. And my dad was just on it, like watching her like a hawk, making her meals. We had her on a strict diet, like no salt, no sugar, nothing. And she's doing a lot better now. She's been out of the hospital for almost 2 months at this point. She's regaining her strength slowly. Nurses had come to the house for the first 5 weeks, physical therapy, occupational therapy, but OT came and they're like, why are we here? Like, you look fine, like you're good. So OT didn't come anymore. Like, she was really doing that well. PT came for a little bit, and the nurses came. So my mom's out and about. She's not fully recovered, but she's able to go on walks or cook a couple meals or do the dishes or come downstairs and watch TV or go out and run some errands with us. She's still not driving. She's still sleeping a lot, but no headaches, no back pain, no, nothing. Just a little bit of weakness still, but that's to be expected. She's followed up with the neurosurgery. That was shortly, I think 10 days after she was discharged. She had to go back to get her stitches taken out where they did the surgery. So she's followed up with her PCP. She's doing good. And just want to say to anyone who has family in the ICU, it's tough. I understand that it's tough. And I think that was just a really eye-opening experience. And I just pray just for healing and peace and comfort. That is not an easy thing to walk through. It's really stressful. I think for my family, just being in the same place every day. We started at one point, we're like, we literally know people in this hospital. We know the security. We know the shortcuts. We know how to get to this place. The restaurants there, we probably ate at every restaurant. Like, we were living there pretty much. So it just got to be a little overwhelming, and we were like, we need to get out of here. So I really do understand that feeling, and just really grateful to God that He is a God who saves and He answers prayer. So that is the summary of what happened. Of course, there's more detail. You could definitely talk to me or ask me about it, but my mom is doing okay. We praise God. We thank God. God is amazing. And I'm so happy and grateful, and we all are, and just knew that God would come through. We didn't know exactly what was going to happen, but we knew that God would come through and that God is faithful. So thank y'all for listening to my podcast, and I hope that everyone has a great, amazing week. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, follow the Instagram page. Let me know other topics or things that you want to hear. This is something that was just on my heart that I wanted to share, and see y'all in the next episode.